the areas of expertise. I'm Jeff from the Writer Support Team, and I apologize in advance for my voice. I'm struggling through a bit of a cold right now. The season's first for me. And so I will try and speak slowly and as clearly as possible and make liberal use of my mute button so that you aren't subject to sniffling and sneezing. It sounds like we have a very clear line today, but I do ask
Shirley Robinson.
I do ask that everybody please mute their phones so that we can keep the background noise to a minimum. Our presentation today will take between 20 and 30 minutes, and I'm hoping that we have sufficient time at the end of the call for questions. But if you do have questions during the presentation, please feel free to use the chat feature on your GoToMeeting dashboard. I do apologize for the last-minute changes on the meeting URL the last couple of weeks. We are working to customize the GoToMeeting platform for our use, and it's our hope that beginning with this call, we will be able to use the same URL each week. So I do apologize for those last-minute changes. At the end of today's session, we will be we will be uploading the presentation and a recording of the call to the knowledge base for future reference, so you'll always have that available to you as well. So why don't we go ahead and get started. So the areas of expertise section is one of the critical pieces of each resume. It is covered in the knowledge base under core competencies in section 3, and it is, really important for several reasons. Number one, it's ideal for placement of naturally occurring keywords and phrases, and also, it's featured in the top third of the resume, where if anybody is going to be glancing or just reviewing resumes at a glance, it's in the section that they're going to read. By naturally occurring keywords, it's a term that I use and is used in our business for having the ability or having the strategy of placing keywords and phrases in a manner that doesn't seem cumbersome or unusual. So with the bulleted format of a typical areas of expertise section, it is the perfect location for keywords and phrases. Important considerations, and this is really getting into some Talent Inc. standards. Obviously, this is not the case for every and all resume, but it is our strong preference that you limit your bullets to either 12 or 15 items, and that they be evenly spaced 3 columns across in 4 or 5 rows, and they should create an even, properly spaced format. We ask that you include 1 line per item and do not bleed into the next row, and I'll give an example of that, what I'm talking about there, but I think everyone understands that, for a nice, symmetrical, clean, crisp format, there should be 1 item per line, and it's very important from a formatting perspective that the bullets be properly aligned so that the resume passes the eye test. For me personally, and from what we know from HR professionals and recruiters, being properly formatted, mistake-free, properly aligned is, although it's not related directly to the content, is also a very important factor when folks are considering candidates based on their ability to present themselves in the best possible light. So limit the bullets. There are certainly circumstances where 9 might be appropriate, but listing more than 15 starts to get, to be a real large table and a little bit cumbersome. And I will caveat that by saying, for IT resumes, where you're listing technical skills or a technical portfolio, there may be instances that you use additional bullets, but those tend to be in a different section and possibly formatted a little differently. So making the distinction there between IT resumes and all others in that, there could be separated out sections of additional bullet points for technical skills. We like that to be consistent capitalization. These words can be considered titles, so it is best practice to capitalize each word in a bullet point. We like the use of the ampersand symbol, which also conserves space and makes for an attractive title. The bullet type itself should be consistent with the bullets used in your professional experience section. So if you're using round bullets, these be consistent between your bullets, in both sections, or if you're using square bullets, just be consistent there. It looks better. And then the font and the font size should be consistent with the rest of the resume. One thing that we see in a lot of quality reviews is that folks tend to reduce the font size in the areas of expertise section to cram more words in. But we prefer that you do not do that. And if you're using 10.5 point or 11 point or 10 point throughout the resume, that it be consistent in this section and use other formatting techniques to ensure that everything can fit properly. Another point there is if your bullet is so long that it doesn't fit on an individual line, that might tell you something about the bullet itself, that it might be too long and not really an appropriate way of relating that specific point. It should be a couple of words, 3 or 4 at the most, and it really should fit in the formatted space available. Here's an example of some common errors that we see. There's a number of things wrong with this. If you look quickly, you'll see that the bullets themselves, the 12 bullets, are not centered properly in the on the page. There is a mixture of capitalization and non-capitalizations. Like customer-centric is both words are not capitalized. Results-driven is. And then here we see soft skills. We see skills that do not differentiate this client from others. And also we see that the repetition of MS Word, MS Excel, MS PowerPoint. Word, Excel, and PowerPoint, if they are highlighted in this section, can be very easily be put in one dot point. But there's nothing here, really, when you think about it, that would be a search term or a keyword. Possibly with the exception of relationship building. Here are some very overused resume buzzwords: team player, results-driven, customer-centric. Then expert communication skills. I'm hoping that somewhere in this resume that there's some quantification there. How did the client demonstrate expert communication skills? So there are a lot of things wrong with this section, and this is taken from a recent quality review. So, I'm hoping that we can talk through, how to avoid a section like this in favor of a more well thought out, well constructed section on areas of expertise. Draw your keywords from the professional experience section. And for those of you who've been on my Tuesday and Thursday calls, or possibly even other training calls, you have heard that I like to write a resume from the bottom up so that you can, begin to learn about your client from the easiest sections to the most difficult sections. And one benefit of working from the bottom up is it allows you to pull your areas of expertise from a previously written professional experience section. I'm going to talk about examples here shortly. And hard skills versus soft skills. When you list a hard skill, you're speaking to the client's value offered. Soft skills are not resume differentiators. So what I mean by that is that being customer-centric, being being result-driven, and being a team player are not search terms that an HR pro or recruiter would ever use to find the client. These are, as you know, overused words and phrases on resumes. So what we need to replace those with are hard skills that this specific client is offering as their values offered. So here's an example of how you can take the areas of expertise from the content of your resume. And this resume was written from the bottom up. So what I'm going to do is just take each area of expertise bullet point, and I'm going to go down into the body to a highlighted section to see where that was drawn from. So right here at the top, supervised 8 associates in 21 school sites. So from that, without reusing the word supervision, we created leadership and management. For curriculum design, we can see that the client designed and implemented college access curriculum, and that becomes two words, curriculum design. Staffing and recruiting is pulled directly from their professional experience at Gear Up Project Associate, recruited and selected students. So the area of expertise is staffing and recruiting. Wrote gaining early awareness and readiness for undergrad program curriculum. It is program development. Examine budget requests becomes budget management. Analyze student participation data and manage biannual student and parent survey distribution becomes academic advising and strategic planning. Conducted outreach to identify partnerships became community outreach.
Amy Deputato.
Increased in-kind matching services became fundraising. Academic advising, we just carried right up to the top. We already hit on design, implemented curriculum, recruitment. Coordinated college visits became event planning, and monitored and analyzed student participation became program evaluation. So what we did here is we took all of the information that was already developed, the content that was already created, and summarized it at the top of the resume with as little duplication of words as possible. Plus, we completely avoided soft skills. Nowhere would you find, team player, organization skills, time management, anything like that. The words in this section at the top are all phrases that could potentially be used by somebody who is trying to find our client. Plus, for me as a hiring manager, if I'm going to see something in the areas of expertise section, I'm immediately going to look further down in the resume to see that the actual skill is either expanded upon or justified. And let me take a quick look. I just saw a question come through. How would you suggest we handle jargon which is either too long to fit in any of the columns and or typically written as an acronym, for instance, research and analysis in epidemiology or financial planning and analysis? I think financial planning analysis would fit, maybe without the FP&A. So financial planning and analysis, I would imagine, would fit. Or something like research and analysis in epidemiology, the actual area of expertise there is epidemiology. And then down below in the professional experience, you're going to talk about the accomplishment or the business impact of the research and analysis in epidemiology. So that, we're not talking necessarily about a specific single skill or two skills, like in the case of research and analysis. What I would do with that is strictly list epidemiology as an area of expertise. And then, like I said, I think financial planning and analysis would fit, or without the FP&A there, I would use the FP&A elsewhere if you're going to use the abbreviation subsequently. So I hope that helps on that question. So a couple of key things just to hit again. Great strategy is to quantify your areas of expertise with bulleted statements and professional experience, and writing from the bottom up allows you to pull this kind of content development in a more efficient and easier fashion. So, best practices. For the most part, and there will certainly be exceptions to this, but we would like to see an areas of expertise section in every standard resume format. Of course, there will be exceptions, but for the vast majority of the resumes we deliver to our clients, there should be an area of expertise section. Think like a recruiter. Use words that can be used to search for a candidate. If you look at your areas of expertise and you find that there are phrases or terms that are not differentiators, reconsider including them. Would somebody search based on that term? Because that's a key area. That's a key benefit of the areas of expertise. Highlight specific skills that are quantified elsewhere in the resume. If the client happens to get somebody like me, I'm going to look for justification that they actually have demonstrated those skills in their work history. Strong formatting is essential in this section. One of the things that we see most often in our quality reviews is poorly formatted areas of expertise, bullets that bleed into the second line, sections that are not centered, bullets that are not aligned. So really important that there's strong formatting here, because this is an at-a-glance section. Somebody can draw a conclusion about a candidate from a quick glance at this section. And of course, and this is a bullet point on virtually every one of my discussions, is proofread. One of the things that I see very frequently is that folks rely too heavily on the resume templates and deliver resumes that have areas of expertise that have no bearing on what a client's background is. But since they couldn't possibly, think of an additional point, they left it to the template. And this is a real source of concern for our clients, because if we make this kind of mistake, they immediately call into question our credibility and our ability to provide error-free work. But unfortunately, it's a very common issue. So I really, if you take one thing away from this, please proofread your areas of expertise and make sure there are no unrelated or inappropriate, and by inappropriate I mean unrelated and not relevant to the client, bullet points in this section. It's very easy to miss when you're using a template. So I really feel it's very important to proofread. It is a source of a lot of frustration and dissatisfaction from our clients when we do this. So we are at the 20-minute mark. I can open up to questions, comments, suggestions.
Thank you.
I have another question that just came in is, how do you recommend we format, align the bullets in this section? I recently heard that tables cannot be read by ATS, which defeats the purpose of this section. That's a good point, and I think the earliest applicant tracking systems may have struggled with tables, but now with the advent of optical scanning and newer, I'm at a loss for a word, newer technology or second generation technology, I think that we're okay with the bullets. If you are able and if you're comfortable using the formatting technique of columns, I would suggest using that. So you would create a single column of all the areas of expertise and then go up to the formatting section and click on 3 columns and then make sure that they are properly aligned. But that's a valid point, and I think we're going to see less and less of that issue going forward. So thank you for that. Any questions from folks on the phone? Okay, great. Any questions via chat online?
That's enough.
Okay, perfect. So again, the presentation and the audio will be uploaded to the knowledge base shortly, and so you will have it there as a reference. If you have suggestions for training calls or specific questions about this presentation, never hesitate to email me at jeffm@talentinc.com. And I look forward to seeing everyone. We have a call tomorrow for new writers at noon Eastern Time. Next week's calls will all be at 3 o'clock Eastern Time, Tuesday and Thursday Q&A calls. And this topic being presented again next Wednesday at 3 p.m. Eastern Time. So with that, hopefully you found this helpful. We will be covering each section of the resume in detail like this going forward, interdispersed with some more general topics. Other topics that we have coming up involve order control and project control, working with difficult clients. So we'll have some interesting things coming up, and also some more detailed explanations and discussions about specific resume sections that will hopefully make your writing experience more efficient with your clients. So with that, Thank you for bearing with me and my stuffy-sounding voice. I wish everyone a good afternoon and look forward to seeing you on future calls. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Jeff.
You're very welcome.
Thanks, Jeff.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Yeah.